hey, man, somebody's got to defend him now because people are going to get the misimpression that he's doing this for his own purposes and he's not telling the truth. When, in fact, when you read the book and you hear him talk, it is patently obvious that he's telling the exact truth now. One, he didn't have to go this far. Two, everything he says jives with what we've heard in previous accounts, where Dick Cheney and Don Rumsfeld bulldoze Condoleezza Rice. George Bush doesn't really know what he's doing. He's not intellectually curious, and he looks around and Rice says, oh, okay, all right, go, I guess, yeah, sure, go with what Cheney's saying. And Bush then convinces himself, oh, no, we're not lying, etc. And the things that are so telling and that rings so true in the McClellan book, 2 points in it. One is right in the beginning, and one is right at the end. One in the beginning is when they're in 1999, when they're on the campaign trail, and he asks Bush about his cocaine use. And Bush says, yeah, I don't remember, man. We had some wild parties back there. He said, I don't remember anything. And McClellan says to himself, wow, man, that doesn't sound like it's true. Who would forget if they did cocaine or not? Clearly illegal substance. And see, the funny thing is, McClellan at that point is such a Boy Scout, right? He's like, golly gee willikers, that is an illegal substance. One would imagine that you would remember such a thing, right? Whereas Bush was like, he's been breaking the rules ever since, he was a little kid. And then his dad and everybody else has been bailing him out. Anyway, so at that point, McClellan has his first clue that, hey, wait a minute now, this guy has an ability to deceive even himself in a way that is problematic. But he thinks, oh, no, I like this guy. I believe in this guy. This guy says he's a compassionate conservative. We're going to be a uniter. We're not going to be dividers. We're going to change Washington. And you know what? These are not evil robots. They are human beings. They get stuck in a situation partly of their own making, no question about it, but where they get led in a certain direction. But they're not all bad guys, right? And so McClellan's thinking, no, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to do the right thing. And more evidence piles up. They're not going to do the right thing. And he sees what Cheney does, and he sees the propaganda about the Iraq War. He sees Bush deceiving himself about that. Then finally we get to that CIA leak, the infamous CIA leak, where McClellan says, hey, Libby and Rove had nothing to do with it because that's what the administration tells him. And then he finds out Libby and Rove had everything to do with it. They leaked it, right?
But the other defining moment was in early April 2006 when I learned that the president had secretly declassified the National Intelligence Estimate on Iraq for the vice president and Scooter Libby to anonymously disclose to reporters. And we had been out there talking about how seriously the president took the selective leaking of classified information. And here we were learning that the president had authorized the very same thing we had criticized. And a reporter had yelled a question to the president, trying to ask him about this revelation that came out during the legal proceedings. And the revelation was that it was the president who had authorized or enabled Scooter Libby to go out there and talk about this information. And I told the president that's what the reporter was asking about. He's saying that you yourself were the one that authorized the leaking of this information. And he said, yeah, I did. And I was kind of taken aback. And that was kind of for me, I came to the decision that at that point I needed to look for a way to move on because it had undermined, I think, a lot of what we had said.
And that's when McClellan was blown away. He said, oh, my God, you had told me all along that you had nothing to do with this. And you went out there and made me tell people, and you told people yourself, oh, my God, if I find out who leaked this thing, I'm going to take care of them, and they're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. Meanwhile, the whole time you knew that you were the one who authorized the leak? See, in that moment, I have not a little sympathy, but a significant amount of sympathy for Scott McClellan. Because there is a moment where you see this guy really did not have bad intent. He really was taken for a ride here. And by the way, when he gets to that moment where the camel's back breaks, he says, I'm out. I'm done. That's when he decides that he's going to pack it up and he's not going to stay at the White House anymore. So that's the story of Scott McClellan. I got to tell you, to me, it rings absolutely true, and I think that there's got to be somebody out there defending him, and now that he's finally getting to what is, in fact, true. So God bless him on that.
If there's a leak out of my administration, I want to know who it is. If the person has violated law, the person will be taken care of.
And that was him. That was Bush. Now, will there be any consequences? I don't, this is the same, really annoying question we get to every time. And the answer is probably not. But Bush broke the law, man. They authorized leaking her name and outing her and putting her and all of her contacts' lives in danger. And he did it for political reasons. And that's what McClellan talks about in his interviews, talks about in his books. It's like, man, we played this Washington game. We did this nonstop political campaign, and we forgot to serve the people. Somebody's got to step up and say that is exactly right.